We want to head out now to Adam Murphy. He's there at the Carter Presidential Library and Museum following this coverage for us. From your vantage point, Adam, what are you seeing?
Well, this is what I can tell you right now. You'll see right in the middle of the circle, the roundabout, that is the color guard. The Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, and Space Force, they will all be carrying the casket. And if we look to the right, you're noticing what appears to be the family and some very close friends that are approaching the area as well. And then off to the left, you're going to notice the hearse, which we presume would have the body of Mrs. Carter. And what I've been told is the color guard will be carrying the casket inside the Carter Center, and then they will also bring the casket back out after they complete this ceremony here. But let's also point out that this will be a brief ceremony momentarily inside the Carter Center, and then following that, the public will have the right and ability to come down here between 6 and 10 p.m. tonight to pay their respects. Now you're looking at the back of the vehicle that we presume is carrying the casket of Miss Carter, and the color guard will move in here shortly to carry that casket into the Carter Center for this ceremony. We expect this ceremony to last between 15 and 30 minutes. And then everybody that has been invited for this special procession will actually leave. And then that is when things will gear up for the public to be able to come in. Also, you may not be able to see at this angle, but we are in a special, oh, here comes the color guard right now to the back of the hearse to remove the casket here. It's really impressive to watch the color guard too, and how they're in sync with everything that they do. And here we go. They're now removing the casket of Miss Carter. You're looking live right now at the color guard carrying the casket of the former First Lady in front of the Carter Center in Atlanta. You can see the beautiful flowers draped over the casket as well. And there they go towards the Carter Center. And one would presume once the color guard carries the casket inside the Carter Center, then family and friends will have the ability to follow right behind. Now they are making their way over towards family and friends. And they're going to go in on the side over there into the Carter Center with family very close by. A very formal and beautiful procession there with the color guard. You'll notice too, all of the flags at half staff here at the Carter Center. You have, looks like every state flag represented as well, and they're all flying at the half staff. Now everybody seems to be headed towards the entrance to the Carter Center for this private ceremony that's going to take place here in the next 10 minutes or so, and should last between 15 and 30 minutes. And again, I want to point out, I know a lot of people in the Atlanta area have been asking, do they get an opportunity to pay their respects? to Mrs. Carter? And the answer is yes. They'll have that opportunity this evening between 6 and 10 o'clock this evening here at the Carter Center to come down, make their way through the Carter Center, and pay their respects to the former First Lady. All right, so there you have the events on the outside. Obviously, we're going to be carrying some of the ceremony as well that's going on the inside throughout the afternoon. I'll tell you what, you could see, folks, the beautiful flowers too draped over the casket, and it's just a gorgeous day for this procession and ceremony that's happening here at the Carter Center in Atlanta.
And Adam, we know you will continue coverage there for us throughout the evening. And I was thinking the same thing that you mentioned. It is a beautiful, crisp November day. And just the flowers really reminiscent of the former First Lady's personality, bright and beautiful and bold. She loved butterflies, loved flowers as well. So certainly appropriate, that arrangement on top of her casket there. And as we see that go into the Carter Center and the family following close behind. And as Adam mentioned, many people from the public will have an opportunity to pay their respects, again, starting at 6 p.m. tonight and going on pretty late until 10 o'clock this evening. But again, this just one of many ceremonies taking place to honor the life of the former First Lady who passed away at the age of 96. And even though it was announced that she was going into hospice just days before she passed away, I think for so many, there's still a lot of pain at the loss of someone who has done so much for our country and in the community, whether it was for mental health, certainly her work there at the Carter Center and their work across the globe in helping eliminate something that many of us had never heard of before, guinea worm.
Right.
The work that they did there. Now we have a view inside the Carter Center and the seats lined up for the family as well. And there will be, I believe, some singing as well on the inside, a chorus there lined up, getting ready to sing as part of the ceremony here that we're watching.
Yes, and as we saw her remains being brought here to lie in repose, I was recalling how earlier this morning, it was really an emotional moment for the community to see her remains being loaded into the hearse by not only her former U.S. Secret Service members, but the current Secret Service members who had been really helping protect her until the day that she passed a little more than 1 week ago. And that took place at Phoebe Sumter Medical Center, where, of course, she made many contributions. We've talked a lot about her body of work, not just in mental health, but as a general humanitarian, fighting guinea worm and beyond. And then making that procession through Sumter County to Georgia Southwestern State University, where both she and the former president had attended, and certainly made their mark on that community and much far beyond. Going from kind of people from a rural farming community here in Georgia to world leaders, both of them. World, certainly former First Lady Rosalynn Carter became a world leader in her own right as a First Lady who really created a new pathway for First Ladies of the future in terms of being a political advisor, known for carrying her briefcase with her and being really informed on matters of politics and international relations, and being really engaged in trying to make a difference in her own right.